Hi, welcome back to the shop. Thanks for stopping in. This video we're going to cast this piece of maple burl in resin. It's been stabilized in cactus juice, and I trimmed the burl down on the lathe, roughed it in on the lathe to get an idea of what I'm going to have, and I made it so that it would fit nicely inside of this bowl, which I'm going to use for a mold. And have a little extra resin. I've cast this piece of maple burl as well, glued it into this so it doesn't float. Hopefully it'll stay in there, and any extra resin that I have I'm going to put in here, maybe make a little sphere or an egg or something out of that. So use an Illuminate Clear Slow. This is part A, 790 grams. $790 grams, got lucky there. So this is actually part A. Part A seems to be lighter than part B just a little bit in here. I always like to tint my base dye. It makes it less transparent. Now, lots of times I mix 3 separate colors or 2 colors, whatever I'm doing, I put them in separate containers. But with this one, where it's just the shape of the burl and where the voids are in the burl, I don't think I can get the individual colors in there and get them to mix properly. So I don't want, for example, a bunch of pewter in one spot. So I'm going to mix it all together, and I'm going to put the colors in, the mica powders in all at the same time. Okay, so the customer has asked for an emerald color, and I have found that spruce green, forest green mixes pretty nice. Changed my mind on this pewter. I'm going to go just a little bit of black pearl on that. I think that'll make it look nice. Just a little. And that gives it a nice look. Now, because of the way the holes are in the bottom of this, I'm scared that if I just pour from the side, that some of these won't fill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some in the bottom this out. Just sort of work that into there. If I don't drop it and splash her. Now I'm just going to tip that so that it has a chance to run into the little crevices and cracks. Hopefully I won't have to go back and fill any little holes after the fact. I don't know if this is going to help or not, but so far it's worked okay when I've done it. Okay. Now, I'm going to drop a couple weights on that right now so it doesn't float on me. Line everything up good. Now I'm going to set that in the pressure pot, and I'm going to top it up in the pressure pot so I'm not going with a full brim here. Okay, now we're going to dump this one. So I had the blank mounted between the tailstock and the faceplate with the sacrificial block on it, and it's held on by hot melt glue. And if you noticed when I put the burl in the mold that there were some lines, shiny lines across the center of the burl where that block is glued to, and that was some residue from the cactus juice resin which I sanded off before I mounted it. And that actually gave me some problems because my glue came apart, separated a couple times. I didn't lose the blank, it just broke away and didn't have room to get away, which is why the tailstock is there in the first place. So I think I've switched this bowl back and forth throughout this video more times than I have any other piece in my life. Right now I'm just chewing up the outside with a negative rate carbide cutter to expose the amount of wood that I want and clean up the resin till it's round. One thing about using a plastic bowl, sometimes they're not that thick, the balls aren't that thick, and they will go a little bit oval. So this one was a little bit oval. You'll see a shiny spot in the green resin, which has not been touched by a chisel here. It takes a while to get it round again. This was the first solid piece of burl that I've stabilized in cactus juice, and it turned out very, very hard. I think it was a really hard burl to start with, and with the cactus juice on top of it, it was super hard. Made nice clean cuts, but it did cut hard. I had center points on this burl from when I roughed it in originally, which made it good because when I turned it around and put it between centers, the piece was pretty balanced on the lathe. Just turning a tenon on the top now so that I can get a better hold on it and get rid of the tailstock eventually. I'm just turning the tenon here now with the dovetail to fit my chuck. bowls turned back around. So if we're keeping track, this is 2 switches. And I'm getting the bottom ready, turning a mortise in the bottom so that I can mount it and turn out the inside. I have the mortise turned out now and sanded to 320, and I'm just putting on some Yorkshire grit regular. And now I'm applying some Yorkshire grit microfine. And after this step, I went back and sanded it down to 2500 grit with sandpaper. And we're going to turn it around again. And just going over the outside to clean up some of the tool marks. And again, where this wood was so hard, it took a while to get these cleaned up. It was a slow process. And I miscalculated a little bit, thinking that I had room to finish to the bottom of the bowl between the chuck and the bowl, and I did not. So I guess what's going to happen here in a minute. Yeah, you guessed it, I'm flipping the bowl around again so that I can clean up that little spot at the bottom that I couldn't reach. I'll show just a little bit of sanding here. Back into Yorkshire grit. And there's the first look at what the colors are going to look like. I was really pleased with how this turned out. All those little holes filled in really well. Actually, by putting the resin in first and sinking the burl into it, it worked out super good. And we're going to turn it around the last time and hollow at the center. As usual, I like to start the hollowing with a traditional bowl gouge, which removes the material much more quickly than the carbide tools. I always do this while I have lots of material to work with and I'm not close to my finished edge. One thing about working with wood, and especially with burls, is you never know what's inside, and sometimes that's a nice surprise, and sometimes it's a couple of giant cracks like what's in this one. The good news is I know that they don't go all the way through because the outside doesn't have any cracks in it. I'm just going to part this center stem off in one piece with a parting tool rather than work it down from the top in, because there's a good chance it'll break off anyhow. Now I got some wide open space to finish it up. You can still see there's lots of crack left there yet, but there's also lots of bottom left in the bowl, so haven't panicked at this stage yet. Just working away at getting a consistent wall thickness and cleaning up a few tool lines here. So we got clear of the cracks, got everything sanded up, 320. Now just back in with some Yorkshire grit again. Using the regular end microfine. Then I finish sand back to 2500 grit. Same as the outside. Now everything's complete except for the buffing. Really nice wood in this. I'm just going to show the second step of the buffing process, which is the diamond. It's already been done with AAA compound and a different wheel. And we just buffed from bottom to top to take the lines that run around the circumference out. And there weren't very many, but this just puts it beautiful finish on the outside. I did the inside and the outside. I'm going to put up some stills at the end of the video. Thanks to everyone who stuck around and watched to the end. Appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider it. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And please leave a comment as to why. We'll see you next time.